The end of an era, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Big Blue Avenue. Don't view this as a post-mortem. View this as a new beginning for the New York Football Giants. My name is Tom Scavetta. Join alongside Sam Cardona Norberg. Sam, how are you feeling? I know you're a little under the weather tonight, so make it easier on you. But geez, I don't even know where to start.
It's never any easier. It's never any easier. But yeah, here we are. We were all expecting this. This isn't shocking news, but man, it has definitely been a ride for the last 5 years. So this is definitely not a post-mortem, but man, it's kind of feels a little bit weird to not have that guy as our quarterback.
And the fact that he's QB4, he's not even
Yeah,
QB3. I'm starting
and
to think
Tim
this is
Boyle.
more. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. They signed him yesterday, and now
Mhm,
he's ahead of DJ. I think it's more of a injury financial decision with that than play,
100%.
obviously. But yeah, quickly here, folks, let's state the obvious. Daniel Jones demoted to QB4, a 24-44-1 record with the Giants as their starter, signed the big contract in 2022, played 6 seasons, had 70 touchdowns, 47 picks, 15 rushing scores, ranks 5th all-time in Giants history with over 14,000 passing yards, 7th in Giants history among quarterbacks with 70 touchdown passes, 9 game-winning drives, second best QBR in Giants history, but only 24 wins. And Sam, the Giants are 3-13 since giving him that big money, and all signs are pointing to him being released in the offseason where they could save just a tad under $20 million, taking that $22 million hit in dead money.
Yeah. It's oh my goodness. I feel like there's not much to say about this whole situation, but yeah, I mean, we did that for the team that we were in, and they're basically digging themselves out of the hole that they created, and which was paying him. And you know, it is what it is at this point, It's Tommy DeVito time. I feel like we're gonna every November it'll be Tommy DeVito time for the rest of our lives. Every right before Christmas, we'll just get to see Tommy DeVito hit the field. Um, but it's I'm definitely, like I said, feels weird, but at the same time, you know, we're back in this era again. We're back to the
Holiday season,
yeah.
too. Thanksgiving. I got to play the Italian parody Thanksgiving now.
Yeah.
Listening to that is imagine if DeVito wins on Thanksgiving, all like the Italian households in the Northeast, like
Forget it. They're gonna freak out. It's gonna be, and like a lot of people are saying, like no one's gonna be watching that game because it's backup quarterbacks going up against each other, Cooper Rush and Tommy DeVito, but the
far
Northeast
from.
Italians will be, that's for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be a highly watched game on the national stage because of Tommy DeVito and Andy Hopper. Shout out to you. Tommy DeVito, 303 TDs on Sunday. Look, Andy, it's possible. The Bucs secondary is not great. And Andy, stay tuned. Our boy, Brian McArdle, is coming on at 8:30 to preview Giants Bucs. So make sure we throw some shade at Brian's team there. Just kidding, Brian, if you're watching. Check this out. The video of Jones at practice today enjoying himself made me LOL. That's a man that's excited. He's getting paid $40 million to not play. I hope you're trolling because Jones is not happy. He is not happy. He wants to be out there playing. But yeah, he's getting paid $40 million to ride the bench. Best job in America right now. I'll tell you, to do
I'd
nothing.
take it. I would take it.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. Last thing on Daniel, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, actually, 2 more things, but we'll speed rush. Dexter Lawrence, disappointed. We saw his quote. But the second quote, as you can see in the script, very vulgar, saying that we're not idiots. I don't want to call out any players' names, but I think we know who said this. A player who's been with Jones since the beginning. A guy who was part of that 2019 class. And, the team record is bad. And unfortunately, the quarterback takes the fall a lot when the team is playing bad. And let's be real, Daniel Jones played bad. And without saying it, I think you know who said this quote as well. You can point fingers anywhere. To try to blame him is trash, and making him third string is weak as curse word. Definitely interesting. But my question to you is, what's next for him? Where do you think he'll land next year? I think that could be an exciting subject. There's been a lot of teams that could use a backup quarterback, I think. Maybe even a bridge starter somewhere. Is there anyone in mind? I know this is very early, but what are you thinking here?
There were two that came to mind. One that I actually had just said off the cuff last year, just as half as a joke. But Minnesota, I know Sam Darnold's kind of killing it out there right now, and JJ McCarthy will be coming in, but I feel like they could use, I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to stay out there, or what have you, if they make the playoffs, but that was a team that I definitely had my eye on. And then I actually got an interesting proposal from my brother the other day, my Steelers fan, who was talking about the possibility of flipping Justin Fields and Daniel Jones. And I thought, how interesting would it be? I feel like Daniel Jones might not be a Steeler type of player. I can't really see him in the environment, but in terms of just logistically thinking, to send Justin Fields over here, he's your backup anyway. Send Daniel Jones over there, kind of makes sense to me.
It's a strong possibility. I don't know if I see him going with the Steelers. I like the Vikings one a little bit more. I think that's a guy
that was my stronger one.
Fit well. For me, it's Denver. To be Bo Nix's backup, because Nix and Jones have similar games. I think Nix just has more swag to him.
And he's younger.
Yeah, and Nix gets the ball out quick. Jones likes to get the ball out quick. And Sean Payton has made Bo Nix look like a serviceable, competent quarterback. The problem is their backup position is atrocious. Like Zach Wilson and Jarrett Stidham, those guys are not players you want grooming a young quarterback. I think Daniel Jones sitting behind Bo Nix could definitely be an interesting sway for him, and it's a lower market. There won't be as much pressure on Daniel Jones. My backup option would be the Carolina Panthers because he's from there, grew up in Charlotte, Panthers fan. Those are the two teams that I have. I do like the Vikings. Not in love with the Steelers as much, but I don't hate it. I wouldn't put it past Pittsburgh to do that. But yeah.
I think it was more of the Justin Fields part of it. That was interesting. But yeah, no, Carolina makes a lot of sense. And that's the first time I've heard anything about Denver. That's pretty interesting. It makes a lot of sense, though.
Mm-hmm. So I looked and I saw Dan Duggan tweet that out, and it got me thinking. I'm like, Danny Boy's pretty reliable with his tweets. He's one of the better reporters out there for us, and working for The Athletic. I think he was spot on with a couple of things when it came to DeVito last year, saying that in regards to Albert says Jones retires.
Hey, why not? He's got enough money.
The injuries. Andy says the Jets.
No. I did see
Think about it.
I did see an edit, though, of Daniel. Oh, my light just turned on. Daniel Jones in a Jets jersey. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And then people were talking about, I think there's a ghost in my house. This light's going to keep turning on and off. But I saw somebody say that Sam Darnold was going to go to the Giants. And I was like, don't send this man back to New York, please.
It could happen because McCarthy's going to be the guy next year.
I know, but spare him, please. He's doing so much better not being over here in MetLife Stadium.
True. I mean, look what Darnold has done with rookie JJ McCarthy. He could do the same thing. It could be a 1-year stopgap, sort of like again, this isn't the best comparison, but what Kurt Warner was for Eli Manning, right?
Oh, yeah.
Much better quarterback, won a ring, but he was the starter for several weeks, and then they turned it over. I want to shout out Tudo here quickly with the comment, much love and respect.
Tudo.
Greetings from our entire rugby team in Italy. Cheers. Cheers, Tudo. I don't have a drink. Actually, I do. Cheers. I don't know. Saw a video of him messing around today that didn't look like he was too tore up. I don't know. But
who knows?
Why Tommy DeVito over Drew Lock? I have my theory, Sam, but I want to hear yours and see if it sort of aligns with what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm basically thinking that so Drew Lock, we obviously saw him, wasn't that great of a player coming in. And while Tommy DeVito might not be that much better, one, he knows the offense a little bit more. And two, I feel like he's just going to give the team a little morale. Like, I feel like he's just like, they don't want to just lay over and die and look like they're not trying anymore or what have you. Like, Tommy DeVito is going to come in, he's going to have fun, he's going to do, or maybe he's not going to have fun. I know he said he's not here to play games, but he's going to do his Italian thing. He's going to play some football. He's probably going to play some good football. I'm not going to be surprised if he wins us a couple games because that's what he does. And, I think that they just kind of want to keep the team a little bit on the higher level in terms of how they're feeling as the season is winding down. That's my main thought here. And that Drew Lock I think it would be a pretty depressing end to the season if Drew Lock came in.
I also think, too, the very limited action he's had this season, he's looked bad. He has not learned the playbook well. DeVito also has a year up on him with this playbook, and I think the spark he provided last year is probably why, because Dable knows his job is on the line. I know Mara's come out and said that these guys are safe. I think Shane is more safe than Dable, even though we sort of said they're both on the same timeline. But the media paints the Giants to be a disaster right now, and rightfully so because of the Jones contract. But at the same time, I don't really see other guys quitting or like, doing bad stuff. I mean, last year they went 6-11 and Dable kept it together. The question is, can he do it again?
Right.
And they're fighting to win games. I mean, look what they did today. They brought Tyre Phillips back to the practice squad.
Yep, I saw that.
Like, good tackle, good backup tackle coming off what was it, a knee injury? Oh, his quad. He tore his quad late last season. So Mark Elkin says Dable deserves better. I agree. Maybe he'll become a 2-time mono survivor back in New York in reference to Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold could get mono twice. All respect to that kid. I love him.
Locke has shown that he's not a good quarterback. DeVito gave that spark. Right. Locke has
the spark.
A lot of bad tape. DeVito doesn't have a lot of bad tape. So I also think, too, as far as Locke is concerned, if the Giants were in contention and Jones got hurt, he was the safety net. He was the safety net there to pile back on. That's why they gave him $5 million this season. They're out of contention. See what you got in Tommy. Make this his audition to be the backup next season.
Right.
And then draft the rookie. Maybe DeVito could be that veteran quarterback who starts the first few games. Crazy. I don't think we should be calling Tommy DeVito a veteran, but by next year, he might be. I mean, if you're in your third year with the Giants, you're considered a polished veteran.
Right. Yeah. That's crazy to think about. Do we really want him teaching a rookie, though?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But, hey, well, guess we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Let him get his guy at quarterback. Yes.
Yeah.
That requires at least a minimum 2-year commitment, though, because you can't fire Dable after 1 year of a rookie quarterback unless something goes catastrophically wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, so Tim Boyle, Tyre, Phillips, both back. They went out and they signed the tight end today too, Jordan Murray, to the practice squad. They released Curtis Bolton, Garrett Greenfield, and tight end / fullback Jakob Johnson. I feel bad for the German Giant fans. They were asking Dable in Germany in his presser, like, what does Jakob have to do to earn a spot on the roster? Because Jakob is from Germany. So, and Dable's like, a lot of maintenance. He's here, he's back, and trying to keep the fan base involved when you're 2-8 is not easy. So, unless it's an Eberflus situation.
Ugh.
Oh, be careful, Mark. We have a Bears fan in the comment section too.
Hey, but for as long as I've known Andy, though, I feel like the Giants and the Bears have been very, very much parallel lines.
Yeah.
Like, we are very similar organizations, which is unfortunate because we're both pretty bad.
Sadly. What do we got here? So, some good news.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Kayvon Thibodeau returns to practice this week. They opened his 21-day window to return from IR. He is expected to play on Sunday against the Tampa Bay Bucks. So, add some more fierceness to that pass rush. Enough of that. I got to do my due diligence. I don't want to do this, but I have to because they'll heckle me if I don't. Congrats, guys. Danny, George, you were correct. The Giants would bench Daniel Jones and turn to Tommy DeVito. This was at the Giants game 2 weeks ago. My brother and his best friend both said DeVito needs to start, and now he's starting. Although I will say, there were more than just those two wearing DeVito jerseys at that Giants game. He is the most popular third string now starter in the NFL.
100%. 100%. It's like, hey, I got a freaking shirt that says Tommy Cutlets on it. It's insane. He knows. The thing is that he was perfect for this team and for this market. So, it fit so well. It was a perfect puzzle piece just in terms of the person and the location.
I will say, I got my brother that DeVito jersey. So don't take too much credit, Danny.
There you go.
Oh, I just realized we both have brothers named Danny.
Yeah, we do. That's pretty crazy.
A little random, but when you're 2-8, you got to throw some fun facts in there.
And we used to have a quarterback named Danny, but guess what? Not anymore.
True. Very, very true. What's up, Kevin? Saying, hey, guys, let's go Giants. A lot of comments for a 2-8 team. We really love this. We appreciate it.
Hello, everybody.
Sam, we sort of need it.
We need it. We need the win.
Yes.
Big Blue Avenue needs the win.
That we do. And I love talking about Baker Mayfield. He's grown on me a lot over the past couple of years. Sam, he is a good, not great, he is a good to very good starting NFL quarterback. I won't say he's top 10. He's top 10 statistically wise this season. But he is now in that upper tier of quarterbacks. He's in that top half of quarterbacks who has a stable job. There's not many teams that can say their quarterback has a stable job. And look what happened to Baker Mayfield. Cleveland got him out. He had to rejuvenate his career as a backup. He spent some time with the Rams, the Panthers. Didn't really work out with Carolina, but his stint with the Rams helped him revive his career and get a job with the Bucs.
Man, I will always remember that Thursday night game that Baker played. He literally got off the plane. They handed him the playbook. He read it in like 2 days, and he went out there and he won that game. And yes, I agree. He is not the best quarterback in the league. He's not a fantastic quarterback, but he is a solid guy. And if there are people that don't know, I'm a true Baker Mayfield believer. I've been a Baker Mayfield believer since like 2017. So I love the guy. I've rooted for him on every team he's been on, from the Browns to the Panthers to the Rams to the Bucs. And going up against him this weekend is going to be a little tough for me, but he's solid. He's got great pieces around him. Andy. Even without Mike Evans and Godwin and all the injuries that are going on, he just was able to still get it done. And I think it's just the passion behind the team, like the push. Like they're like, we love this guy. He loves us. He's doing this for our team. And just, you know, this is a giant show. We can't make this all about Baker Mayfield. I could keep going.
Yeah, I met Baker on Halloween once back in 2019. Not the real Baker, but a man dressed up as Baker back when he was on the Browns. Shout out
what's he doing walking around Queens?
No, Stamford, Connecticut, even better.
Oh, okay.
I had just gotten out of work and I went to a bar and there's Browns Baker Mayfield standing there at the bar.
There you go.
Shout out Sign of the Whale up in Connecticut. Great place. Back to the regularly scheduled programming here, folks. The Giants take on the Bucs in Week 12. Both teams are riding awful losing streaks. The Bucs started the season 4-2. They're now 4-6. Giants started the season 2-3. They're now 2-8. Bucs favored by 5.5. Both teams coming off a bye, and the Giants lead the all-time series 16-9. It's crazy, Sam. As bad as the Giants have been over the past decade, historically, they're still one of the best teams in NFL history. They have to right their ship at some point.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's crazy that we lead that series, especially during the early 2000 years with Tiki and Rondé going head to head with each other. You know, that's super fun.
A lot of Baker love here in the comments section. Kevin loves his Browns. Yep. What a tease, Tom. What a tease. Wait till you find out what I got for you tomorrow, Mr. Hopper, on From the Stands. You'll be excited for that. Shout out the Fighting Illini. But yeah, Sam, I don't know like what type of expectations I have for the Giants in this game, because I feel like, is it weird that I feel more like less negative about this game that DeVito is starting just because of his swag and the energy that he brings? I'm not going to overreact and say that we'll win, but the Giants have a chance in this game because Tommy DeVito is starting.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like, you know, coming off of the bye, different situation, we would have been in a different place. But with Tommy going under center, it kind of changes it a little bit. And I originally was thinking maybe, but like with Mike Evans coming back, and Baker Mayfield needing a get-right game, like I feel like this might be the time. Obviously, the Giants' defense is no easy feat to go up against, and that's obviously the side of the field that Baker's going to be seeing. I'm just a little worried about Tommy thinking that he's going to be able to step back into this role like no problem, and I have a feeling there might be a step or two that he misses that we might need. It's not going to be as smooth as it was last year. You know, last year he comes in, nobody even knows who he is. This year, There's a little bit more familiarity, not necessarily with the Buccaneers, but just as the league as a whole. So I do think that there's a chance. I do think that it'll be a competitive game. I just don't see that much of a smooth transition with Tommy this time around as it was last year.
Yeah, different season. Absolutely. Quickly here, before we bring up Brian McArdle in 5 minutes, friendly neighborhood reminder, if you enjoy what we're talking about tonight, the New York Football Giants and Baker Mayfield, feel free to check us out on all of our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. But yeah, the tailgate spread, Andy, on Tommy DeVito. It will be unreal.
Cutlets, parm, pasta, rainbow cookies, Pignoli nut cookies, you name it. It's going to be unreal. Eggplant rollatini, raviolis, cavatellis, penne vodka. It's going to carb central. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Am I crazy to say that DeVito also has a chance to be the future of this team too? Or is that far-fetched? I think it is, but I'm going a little crazy tonight.
See, the thing is, I don't think it's as far-fetched as you think it is. I think that people like him. He's obviously, from what we've seen so far, not completely awful. Knows the team, knows, Dable. It's definitely not out of the realm of possibility, which is slightly concerning because I don't know if I want Tommy DeVito to be the future of the New York Giants, because I like the every once in a while the little bit of fun that we get to have. But yeah, me too, Andy. I did not eat very much today, so I'm starving right now. But overall, I don't know if I want Tommy DeVito to be there.
That's my bad. I got you off topic there.
It's okay. That is okay. Now I'm thinking about chicken cutlets, so now it's like a whole different thing. But yeah, it's not out of the. I don't think it's as far fetched as you think it is.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of factors going into this game. Kayvon Thibodeau's coming back this week. DeVito under center. Also, revenge games too for Ben Bredesen, the Bucs starting left guard, our starting left guard the last 2 to 3 years, and then Sterling Shepard, who all of a sudden is having a career resurgence with his former college teammate, Baker Mayfield. And
Sooners forever.
With Evans and Godwin out, he's been impressive on the national stage too. He can still play. He can still ball, and that's a big fat L for the Giants.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot about Shep.
Mm-hmm.
I think my brain blocked it out. It was like, don't think about it. But yeah, that's gonna be kind of bittersweet to see. We love Shep.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about the Bucs. Brian should be on in any moment, folks. So if you have any comments or questions, we'll take them. I believe he's loading backstage. But yeah, no, I think too, another thing with this game is the Giants have some tough cooking with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White in the backfield, a 1-2 punch. The Giants have sucked at stopping the run this season. It's been a real problem. And I think everyone is going to be on the hook if the Giants continue to not be able to stop the run at any point this year, because they won't be able to win games. And I think the way Dable keeps his job is if they quietly go 4-13, 5-12, don't shit the bed every single week. That's what I think. And there's this other thing too, Sam. Everyone is comparing Joe Schoen's tenure to Dave Gettleman's tenure. This is a different time. And I don't know if you agree here. We shouldn't use Dave Gettleman's 4 years as a measuring stick. That was a mistake. So what I'm saying is Joe Schoen should not be guaranteed 4 years just because Dave Gettleman got 4 years.
Right.
Although I do think Joe Schoen is a better GM. The situation here is a little bit different. They bet on Jones and they missed. They made a lot of people look like fools, including myself. And yeah, it's been tough. And Mark is right. I mean, you got teams like the Bucs who figured out their quarterback situation. They beat 2 of the top teams in the NFC. Yeah, they're still 4-6, but they're competitive because of their quarterback spot. We're not competitive. We're not. Right. And honestly, it's more than the quarterback. It is an upper echelon, just several different things compiling. Like, we can't score points. I mean, the offense has scored under 20 points for the last 5 weeks. We can't stop the run. All of a sudden, the Giants are getting sacked a lot. And usually it takes 3 years to evaluate a draft class. But did you see, Sam, what Joe Schoen said in last week's presser? This 2024 draft class was a hit. They're saying that after 1 year because they know the last 2 draft classes were not that great. They were not that great. 2023 was better than 2022. But, man, it was not that great. And I'm so disappointed in this regime right now. I know they want a playoff game, but rebuilds are painful. I hope they stick around, but I don't know if they will.
It's just so crazy that within our lifetime, we've seen 2 Super Bowls and also a complete downfall of an organization. And we're not even 30 yet. Like, that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, I'll be 30 next year, but
Hey, you're not 30 yet.
Not yet. But yeah, no. Also, congrats to Eli Manning on making the 2025 Hall of Fame semifinalist list.
I hope he gets there.
You think he's getting in first time? Because I do.
I think I'd like to think so. I'm not familiar with all 25 semifinalists. I've seen a few that I recognize the names, but hopefully he gets in, because I think that would be a shining light on our pretty terrible year. I'd love to see Hall of Fame quarterback Eli Manning.
I would too. I think he deserves it, and I think too it has to be tough for him. You've had more success than my team. My entire life as a Bears fan is nothing but pain.
Fair enough.
I feel for him
too. I get it. We're lucky. We're the lucky ones, but
I mean, after the Packers hit that field goal last week, the Hail Mary against the Commanders, Bears have had it rough.
That was a rough one. I thought they had that like no problem. That was rough. I'm sorry, Andy.
Speaking of rough, another person who's had it rough over the last 4 weeks is Brian McArdle from Tampa, Florida. Also, Brian, off topic, how are you doing? How is the Tampa area doing? Our thoughts and best wishes are still with you guys down there.
Yes, thank you. Obviously, great to be here with you guys yet again. As always, nice to come on and speak with both of you. We're doing okay now. It's pretty much cleanup crew time at this point. I say this as like a bomb cyclone is taking out the West Coast right now in Oregon and Washington. But yeah, a lot of the problems are fixed. We're just waiting for a cleanup because that has to, go through all the regulations through the city and FEMA. So a lot of trash on the side of the road here. But as far as damage, everyone, power's back and everything is pretty much good. So.
Absolutely. Very happy to hear that. Andy says our favorite Florida man. Correct. Hope my family didn't just hear that. Brian, we exhausted this topic earlier on in the show, but I just want your thoughts on it from an outside fan's perspective. It's no old news here. Daniel Jones has been benched for Tommy DeVito. Are you surprised, not that he was benched, but that he was the Giants starter for nearly 6 seasons?
Yeah, I'd say not surprising for me, at least. It's different, watching from the outside. Again, I don't know what Tom has said, but most of my focus is on college football. So, I saw him a lot more at Duke than I've watched him with the Giants. But yeah, the reality is, even though I don't think he was the QB for you guys, for the long run, the QB market is just so tough. Obviously one of the most sought after positions to get, the guy. There's several positions for that, but the QB is touching the ball more than anybody at any given time. So you want to get that guy that's going to be there and hopefully be, your next Peyton Manning or your next Brady. But unfortunately, those are far rarer to find than they are, finding, some duds or some guys that, just don't pan out who are kind of mediocre, which I think is kind of where Daniel Jones has fallen here. The way I would put it is he's just a bit of like a milquetoast QB. He's good enough that the front office could look at him and say, all right, he might develop into someone that we can, take that next step. Sign that next big contract with, and he's going to get us, deep in the playoffs. But he's also at the same time, not bad enough to say, all right, we need to get rid of him right now. So it's kind of this dichotomy of what do we do here? How long do you want to keep rolling the dice? And I don't want to say wasting time, but spending that time to seeing if it pans out.
Yeah, you just explained the last like 3 years of my life, Brian. And I mean, you guys are, you don't have this Peyton Manning quarterback right now, but you do have Baker Mayfield, who I really love. I think he's a great quarterback. And you guys are going to be coming off the bye. There's some people that are going to be coming back, including Mike Evans. What kind of predictions do you have for the second half of the season for your team?
Yeah, it's rough because obviously you never want to come off a 4-game losing streak like this, but the bye does obviously help out in the sense that it obviously stops the bleeding, which is nice, but it gives everyone the time to settle in and sort of get the wheels running in a different direction. As far as predictions go, I do think we'll be okay. Maybe to slide in at the very, very bottom half of the playoffs there. Obviously, still a lot of important injuries for guys that you want in your squad if you want to make the playoffs and at least compete in the playoffs. But the one thing that gives me a little bit of hope, I guess, is that the teams that we do have to play going forward after this bye week have a combined record of 24-47. So, you never want to take any game for granted, but it is nice that a lot of those teams aren't, at the top of the league right now. And, it gives you a little bit more hope than, if you're going up against all the big boys.
No, absolutely. And I think Todd Bowles has done a good job keeping the Bucs competitive and relevant. But I want to ask you, is he the right guy to be the long-term head coach? Obviously, he specializes in defense, specifically pass defense. His history coaching secondaries, and your secondaries is one of the worst in the NFL. I think Bowles is a good guy, excellent defensive mind, but just overall, what are your thoughts on him as the head guy moving forward?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, especially with how you worded that. He is nice. I think he's a good guy. I don't know if I would have ever run with him as the head coach. It kind of just rubs me the wrong way how he was appointed. I understand that Arians was very close to him, and he wanted Bowles to take that next step, get back into the head coaching role. But to me, that's just not how you do it. If you're like a high school program, that's how you do it. Like the head coach kind of hands it off to a guy that he recommends. But if you're an NFL team, there's only 32 of them, and you shouldn't be filling it with a guy who's been, I would say, mediocre. To be fair, he's only had 2 extended tenures as a head coach with the Jets, and then obviously with us after Arians kind of anointed him to be the successor. But yeah, I think he's only really ever been good at that defense. And now that he's focusing on both sides of the ball as the head coach, the defense has suffered, as Tom has just pointed out. Our secondary is not very great. So yeah, to me, I think his ceiling is either as a mediocre head coach or as a very good defensive coordinator. And he needs to be the one to decide that. Obviously, no head coach is ever going to want to say, hey, this is too much for me. Maybe I should go back to just being a coordinator. But that'll be for the next team who takes him, after he leaves the Bucs eventually, to decide. But yeah, like I said, his 2 tenures that he's had as head coach, the Jets and us, something to keep in mind here is that he hasn't performed very well as time goes on. As far as the progression goes, he's only done about equally or worse as seasons go on. So to me, I look at that. If your records continue to get worse, to me, that looks like, okay, you inherited the previous team, which for us was very nice for him because that was, Brady and a lot of those guys that he brought in. But if you can't, bring in your own guys and build something, around your own thoughts, your own program, your own playbooks, that kind of thing, it's concerning to me. And, if you keep getting worse and worse, I don't know how long you want to keep someone around like that as your head coach.
Yeah. And I mean, someone he brought in though, Baker, is I'm just gonna keep bringing it back to Baker here because that's my guy. He's been pretty consistent this past season, despite losing these big pieces in Godwin and Evans, and he's been utilizing one of our past guys, Sterling Shepard, who we miss very dearly. But what do you think it is about Baker's play that keeps him so consistent this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just very adaptable. That kind of got overlooked in college because at Oklahoma, he was like one of the top dogs, obviously, in all of college football. So there's a huge hype train around it. Oklahoma is obviously a very big program. I don't think he was ever like elite in any specific category though in college or now, but he's very adaptable. He's very scrappy. He'll do the dirty work, to make sure that the offense is getting those yards. Continuing those drives. He's thrown more interceptions this season than I would like. I'm sure more than he would like also. But yeah, he's lost so many top targets. Like you said, he does have Sterling Shepard there on his side, which is, it's nice to have someone that you used to play with back in the day. Obviously, Sterling Shepard also at Oklahoma with Mayfield. So, there's a little bit of chemistry that, was there before he even got on the field with him. They knew each other. The interceptions is the only thing that really bothers me right now. But to that, I'll say in the way that the league has trended more towards being a pass-forward offense, especially like these last 3 or 4 years under like, Mahomes, Allen, those guys that are just slinging it. If you're throwing it that many times, there's going to be interceptions. Mahomes, who's probably, you guys can argue with me here, but I think he at least has an argument to be the top QB in the NFL right now. He's tied for the league lead in interceptions. You got Jared Goff, who has 9 interceptions, which is how many Baker has. So when you're throwing it that many times, you're going to throw some interceptions, and he's missing so many targets. I don't really fault him too much right now.
Yeah, it's a good point to make, too, that he might be getting Mike Evans back. But one guy who's really stepped up for you guys this year, Brian, is Bucky Irving. And that's huge because it's allowed Rachaad White to be more of that receiving back specialist, especially with the injuries to Evans and Godwin. We talked about Bucky last year at Oregon, playing with Bo Nix, right? How has he emerged so quickly despite being a third-round pick? Because we always knew this guy was good. I mocked him a lot to the Giants last season to be Saquon's successor, but my gosh, he's really, really good. Between the tackles guy, he doesn't make many mistakes, and I think having a good running back like that you can lean on is beneficial.
Yeah, it's sort of like a two-step thing here. First of all, guys coming out of Oregon, especially in those roles, like running back, are always going to be elite athletes. That's just how they recruit out of high school. They want the fastest guys. They want the most athletic guys. So it's kind of hard to rate someone coming out of an Oregon squad, especially obviously now they're in the Big Ten, which will be interesting to see how recruits coming into the draft are rated differently, because obviously Big Ten, a lot bigger, a lot tougher. They're running different schemes. Oregon was able to basically do anything they wanted in a Pac-12 offense-wise because it's not a defense-first conference in college football. And then the second thing, I guess, I'll say this. As far as rating them goes, I rate both of them fairly equally between Bucky Irving and Rachaad White. I think they're both really good. They're both a little underrated going into the draft. So I think Irving taking over early, it looks like this is what's going to happen. Irving is going to take over as, the main carrier. That's sort of how it's been trending these last few weeks. It feels like it's more of a coach's intuition type of thing because they're a little different. I think Irving's probably got a higher top speed, definitely got quicker acceleration than White. But to me, I think they're equal. They've both done very good. The one thing that I do not like about the situation is that when Irving takes over as, the main load carrier, it kind of tips your hat a little bit to the opposing defenses that when White is in there, it's more likely that that's going to be a passing play because he has about 50% more completions out of the backfield than Irving has been getting from Baker. So to me, I would prefer if we kept White in there as the main carrier as well. But like you said, he's sort of come out of nowhere. It's hard to judge running backs. So saying he's third round, we see a lot of third round running backs who become superstars and a lot of first round ones who crash out. So always hard to rate running backs. But yeah, I agree with you, Tom. He's definitely put up production that I wasn't typically, looking to expect out of a first-year guy.
Another guy that's been getting targeted a lot in that offense is Cade Otton as a tight end, and I feel like he's been kind of lingering on this offense for quite a number of years at this point. Do you feel like he's stepped up and they've kind of tapped into his potential finally as like this tight end number one, possibly a top 5 tight end in the league?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. His production has obviously skyrocketed with all the injuries, so he's been kind of forced into it. But listen, I think that's been a good thing. Tight ends, unless you're like a top tight end, they kind of get overlooked. Especially, I don't want to like toot our own horn, but I think our receiving core is really, really good. We've got a good mix of different types of weapons. Sometimes Otton did get overlooked as far as getting looks from Baker goes. Do I think he's gonna be a top tight end? What did you say? Top like 5?
Top 5, yeah.
That's kind of tough. You got, I mean, just off the top of my head, like Kelsey, Ertz, Kittle, Bowers is young.
I'll throw an Ertz in there.
Yeah, I'll throw. Listen, he's getting old, but he's still, one of the top guys.
Good. He looks good.
Trey McBride has looked really good. I think he was in the same draft class as Otton. So he'd probably be him and Bowers are obviously, the 2 top young guys, I would say. But this will maybe speed up his progression, getting all these looks because of the injury. So maybe that'll help him out break into that top 5 in a few years, not now.
Do you think that there's anything defensively that the Bucs need to do in order to dethrone the Falcons? Because I feel like this division's funny. It's like they could get there because the Falcons do look like kind of garbage this past weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, our division has been pretty garbage for a few years, so
that's true.
That has kind of helped us out in terms of winning the division, getting into the playoffs. As far as defensively, we're middle of the pack in rush yards per game, which is usually where we fall, unless we're going back to like the early 2000s Bucs. Unfortunately, we're not. The secondary, which Tom brought up earlier, and I've brought up to him in the past. I think in probably the last 3 draft day shows that you guys have done with review and preview. I've said how much I dislike our secondary. They're 30th in pass defense. So we give up almost 265 yards through the air. And when your team's already super banged up, especially in the secondary, where, that's our worst, it's not very helpful to let your opposing offenses extend their drives like that and keep your defense on the field even longer. So, I don't know what the fix is at this point in the season. They just, really need to lock in, hope the guys stay healthy and make sure they're getting off the field. Because the secondary is definitely not top tier, is what I'll say.
Yeah, and if you're the Giants, you want guys like Malik Neighbors, Wan'Dale Robinson, Theo Johnson to take advantage and exploit that. And the problem is we haven't had the quarterback play that's been good enough to be able to get those guys the ball consistently. And speaking of quarterback play, Brian, last question before we finish up with our keys and predictions here. We've been talking about this every week. The new college football playoff, 12-team format. How will this impact draft boards specifically for quarterbacks and scouts of teams that are searching for QBs, right? So like the Giants, the Browns, the Titans, these quarterbacks could still be playing college football less than 3 months before the draft. And now that whole process could change, and it could change the way teams evaluate as well, because you have a guy like a Curtis Rourke from Indiana who's getting more exposure now, 12-team playoff. And then one other example would be Jackson Dart as well, a guy for Ole Miss who would not be talked about as much, in my personal opinion, if it was just a 4-team playoff.
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer because, like you said, that's a quick turnaround. Going from, college football playoff to spring training. I guess what I would say is, luckily, even though it's expanded, only 12 teams are in the playoff. And of those 12 teams, I don't think that many of them are going to have QBs that are going to be entering the draft who I would look at and say, these are the potential top picks that are going to be first off the board in terms of QBs. So for people worried about, like all these extra games, all these injuries, the quick turnaround, I don't think it'll be a super big deal. Maybe for someone like, a Dylan Gabriel, I guess. I don't know how high people are mocking him. Maybe late first round. Obviously, Shadur Sanders seems to be the consensus as Deion's offense kind of shoves all the yards his way to pad his stats. But I mean, you look at those teams, a Will Howard, no one's picking Will Howard in the first, second round. So I don't think it's too much of a concern as far as that goes, but we'll see. What I would say to the positive is that a lot of these guys that you just mentioned, your Rourkes and your Jackson Darts, outside of the fact that the schedule has changed, the NIL and the transfer portal landscape has changed. These guys, obviously, they're a little bit older now, but that has been the trend for quarterbacks coming out of college these last few years, is that they're no longer, just straight up redshirt juniors getting drafted. Obviously, some are, but you got some guys that are 23, 24 years old who are, not only had more time to develop, but I guess you can look at them and, decide, okay, we've seen this guy for so long now. We know he's level-headed. We've seen his skill set, so we can trust him a bit more. And, that especially is going to benefit someone like Curtis Rourke, who, comes out of, where was he? Ohio, the Ohio Bobcats, I believe. So, no one was getting, looks at him, and now look at Indiana, playoff team, top 5 in the nation. I'm sure a lot of NFL eyes are on him right now.
Definitely. And yeah, that's true too. I think it could benefit teams in the playoffs. Also, thank you, Barbara Kelly, for the comment. Very informative. Thank you. Shen, let's get to keys of the game. Giants Bucs. Big game for Tampa Bay. Not really for the Giants, but Bucs trying to get back towards the top of the NFC South. How did the Giants pull off this stunning upset?
I mean, I think that one of the big things that we're going to focus on is what Brian was mentioning earlier about Baker's turnovers. We just got to kind of capitalize on that, try and get the ball defensively and possibly score some points that way as well. I think that's going to be a huge key for the Giants. And for the Bucs, I mean, I don't think it's going to be that hard, to be honest. Just watch your tape on Tommy DeVito, I guess, which they're giving them more than enough time to do at this point. But yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
Brian, what about you? What do the Bucs need to do?
I mean, my biggest concern, I guess, is the pressure. Like I said, Baker does well with what he has available to him, but I'm concerned about the pressure that you guys get, especially in the interior. you got Dexter Lawrence, who's got 9 sacks. That's second in the NFL. And then that linebacker pair of Burns and Ojulari with 6 each. So when you're missing your main targets that you can rely on, the pressure does not help. So the offensive line really needs to lock in this week, especially if Wirfs cannot play, which would be a big loss for that line.
True. I also think, too, for the Giants, pressuring Baker's key. Second in the NFL in sacks, 6th in QB hits. They also rank 6th on third down. The Wirfs injury, they're trying to get him to play. They're not sure. I think Justin Skule would slide in if Wirfs cannot go. And then I think if you're the Giants, you got to try to protect Tommy DeVito. Third string, now starter. You definitely want to make him comfortable back there. And that'll segue in to our players to watch. I guess we'll do 2 for each team here. Sam, we'll start with you. I think I know one of your answers.
Yeah, I mean, gotta go with my guy. I'll say Baker here for the Bucs. And on the other side, obviously Baker, big piece of this offense. Honestly, shows out and shows up a lot of the time, especially in games like this, and in a get right game. So definitely have our eyes on him. And then on the other side of things, I'm gonna assume that Mike Evans is gonna be coming back in here and playing. I also really love Mike Evans. I'm not a Buccaneers fan, but I just love so many players on that team. But if Mike Evans is coming back, even coming off of the injury, he is such a reliable receiver. And if Baker knows that he's there, and as those pressures come, like Brian is mentioning, like he's going to be able to throw the ball up, and Mike's going to be there. So those are definitely going to be the 2 offensive guys to be watching for the Bucs. And for the Giants, oh boy, I guess we got to throw Tommy Cutlets into the mix. He's coming back. He's making his resurgence once again. But I mentioned earlier in the show, I don't think it's going to be as smooth of a transition as it was last year for him to just come in here and just start winning games for us 1-3. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on. And the other side of things, for the Giants as well, Jalen Hyatt. Hopefully he's going to be getting some actual targets with somebody different under center here, because we saw it like very slightly a couple weeks ago, and I feel like there could be something there with Tommy coming in and maybe trying to target some other guys.
There's a lot to be tapped into with Jalen Hyatt that they were unable to do with Jones at quarterback. I also think part of it is on Hyatt. Also, you mentioned Mike Evans. Bucs are 0-4 this year without Mike Evans. They were 4-2 when Evans got hurt. Unfortunately, they lost them, sitting at 4-6. Brian, you're next. 2-3 guys from the Bucs, and then if you have 2 for the Giants, I don't know why you would have 2 unless we're that bad, but if you do, shout them out.
I guess in general, I was just going to say just our injury report. That's my player to watch.
Yeah.
But specifically, like I said, from that list, Wirfs is obviously far and away our best offensive lineman. Having him, available to play would be, I think, huge and alleviating some of that pressure. I would probably throw. I know everyone probably wants to say Mike Evans, also from the injury report, but I'll add Jamel Dean to be a little different. He is, like I said, I don't like our secondary that much, but I think he's one of the most reliable guys we have. In that secondary, he, I believe, was full practice participant, which is the first time this week that he's been full-time participant. So looking likely, but we'll see. Injuries can sometimes be hard to judge, so we'll see if they keep him out. But yeah, I would love to see those 2 back for sure. As far as the Giants go, I guess I'll go with that same linebacker pair because we do, with these wide receivers missing, McMillan out, Evans out. We have
Godwin.
Godwin. We have been going to those guys out of the backfield, White and Irving, to try and get some of those yards after catch type plays. and obviously they're already putting pressure, that leading the team in sacks for you guys, but they're both very quick, and if they can stop that part of our game plan, it's going to be a lot of trouble for us. I don't know if it would be enough to fully destroy our offensive game plan, but we do rely on that pretty heavily right now. So it would require a lot of moving and shaking as far as the playbook goes if we can't get that going.
I love your offensive line when Wirfs is healthy. I really do. I mean, you go across the board. Ben Bredesen, former Giant, by the way. Graham Barton, who we like that pick on draft night for you guys at center. Your right guard, Sam was in love with your right guard pre-draft, Cody Mauck. The redheaded guy with no front teeth.
I remember him.
Missing 2 front teeth there, and then Luke Godicki at right tackle. I mean, it's been a solid line, and it's a young line too. And I think that, along with the receiver play, is why Baker has looked so good. But for Tampa Bay, I'm going with Cade Otton because he's Brian, a tight end.
Yep.
Yeah, how about this for a ratio? Averaging 5 catches per game, 4 touchdown receptions on the season, 49 catches, 456 yards. He's been Baker's one of his top targets the last few weeks. And looking at Cade Otton's split stats too, it's very, very impressive. He has, on average, since entering the NFL, 21 receptions per every drop, which is a better number than most at the tight end position. So that is another solid ratio, Brian.
Love it.
But yeah, and then look, I mean, I wouldn't be worried if I were you, Brian, about your D-line. You got Kalijah Cansey and Vita Vea, Levante David's mainstay, but your whole secondary I'm watching. Did you not make Antoine Winfield the highest paid safety in the National Football League last year? Like, he's getting that much money, and the secondary is atrocious. It's atrocious.
I don't remember if it was that, but it wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly, whatever it was worth, the production has not been worth that contract. I'll say that.
And then for me, for the Giants, I'm sticking with, I'm going to go 2 on offense, Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors. And here's why. Malik has not scored a touchdown since week 3. He will this week against Tampa's soft serve secondary. No disrespect, Brian. Our secondary is worse. It's not even soft serve level. Yeah, look, he's due to score, right? I mean, he was drafted 6th overall for a reason. He has to score. DeVito at quarterback, I think he does. Also, Tracy, the Bucs have surrendered 9 rushing touchdowns this season. I think Tyrone Tracy Jr. has solidified himself as the top rookie back in this class right now. He leads rookies in rushing. And then defensively, Drew Phillips, highest graded corner in the NFL this season as a rookie. I just highlighted 3 rookies, Sam, as our players to watch.
Amazing. That's the future of this team.
Great draft class.
Yeah, great draft class.
It's 9:05, Sam. It is time to make our game predictions before we sign off. You can go first.
I'm going to say that maybe I'm just feeling a little salty, but my faith in Tommy DeVito is not at 100% quite yet. I do think that the Bucs are going to pull out this win. Both of them are coming off the bye, but the Bucs, I think, are coming off a stronger bye. I'm going to say 26-21 Tampa Bay, and the Bucs will cover the spread.
Brian?
Yeah, I think we somehow do pull up the win here. I think the bye week will be probably more favorable for us because a lot of those guys on injury, it's going to be really helpful in getting, I hope, at least half of the big boys back. As far as score goes, listen, here's the thing. I know in the notes you're kind of talking about, the points allowed, all that as far as the Bucs go. We've allowed so many points in the last 6 games. It is unbelievable. And I think it trumps the fact that you guys have not scored 20 points per game in the last, 5 games or so? So with how bad our secondary is, I think you will surpass 20 points on us. But we edge it out by maybe 6 or 7 points here. So I'm going to go a bit of a high scoring one. Let's say 31-24.
All right.
Yeah, for me, I'm going 34-17 Tampa. Chase McLaughlin's one of the best kickers in the NFL. I don't think the Giants hit that 20-point mark. I don't. I think there's going to be some tough sledding off the bye. I have to talk low about this team right now. I have to start talking about the Giants like I do the Mets, and they'll perform. That's usually when they do perform, when I start going super low with them. But yeah, I think Tampa's fine. I think they look like a playoff team this week because they're playing the Giants. And yeah, I think Baker will probably finish the season with the most touchdown passes in the NFL, which is crazy to say, but at the same time, not so crazy when you have Evans, Otten, you had Godwin the first few weeks, Rashad White with 4 at the running back position. All great stuff. Brian, before we let you go, where can people find From the Stands US to get your weekly college football content?
Of course, we're already 12 weeks through the season, but if you want to see a little bit of college football content, a little bit more of that guy right up there, Tom Scavetta, he co-hosts with me, and our boy Andy Hopper as well. You can find us at From the Stands on YouTube, From the Stands US on Twitter. I just made a Blue Sky account. Seems everyone is starting to move over to Blue Sky, so we'll get that going. And yeah, if you enjoy college football, you like to see the talents that may be on your New York Giants in the coming years, come check us out.
Absolutely. And quickly want to shout out the goofballs here for commenting. Appreciate you guys. Most excited he's been seeing someone on a bench since watching Forrest Gump. Wow. Sam, any parting words before we sign off for Giants fans?
Just do the thing.
Hang in there.
Hang in there.
That's it.
Yeah. There we go.
Yep. Saw a Facebook post from 2011 that I made. Very optimistic and hopeful about the Giants. I just shared it on my page quickly before we sign off. I know we've gone over tonight, but I just want to read what it says. There's my profile. So I put a heart in the post. I mean, I was a teenager. Let's go Giants with a heart. November 20th, 2011. And Brian, did you know we've been Facebook friends for 4 years now? That also came up on my wall like an hour ago before you came on. Like that's not just random. It's like they knew these guys are working together tonight. Let's throw some more.
The algorithm.
Curveball.
Zuckerberg's on the ball.
Oh yeah.
He is.
But folks, if you like watching Big Blue Avenue, this is where you can find Sam and I every single week on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. Thank you, Brian, for following our ticker there. Best of luck to your Bucs this weekend, but not too much. On behalf of Brian McArdle, Sam Cardona, Norberg, I'm Tom Scavetta saying good night. And without further ado, we're still going to say it. Let's go Big Blue.